Hey, how we all doing? Hope you're well. Welcome back. And yeah, we're here to talk more Burnley crap, really. It's not far now till the end of the season. Only a handful of games still left to play. Um, and it's pretty much already the nail is in the coffin, but nobody's hammered it in just yet. Um, while it's technically still possible. That said, we spoke last week with Craig. Got to say thank you to Craig for coming on as well. Really do appreciate it. And I know it became a bit of a Parker slagfest last week, but hey ho, who turns up next? Another one of Parker's old boys, Fulham. We go to Craven Cottage to take on Parker's old side, and should be an interesting affair by all accounts. Dan and Joey with me as always, and yeah, let's get straight into it. If Dan, what was your thoughts on that 0-0 Borefest?
Um, I couldn't decide whether it was actually a bore fest or whether we were just shit, because there is a difference. There is a difference, and I found it really strange, boys. I think a lot of people have been the same. I didn't come off upset because it's not worth getting upset anymore. Um, but I also, for the first time, when you get to the last sort of, what was it, 8 minutes injury time, and I didn't find myself in any way get sort of excited or riled up. You know when you get to 90 minutes and they put 8 minutes and it's 0-0, and normally you'd be like, come on, and you'd really get behind them and want. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we can do this, we can do this. I didn't, and nobody did around me. We just all
Fuck's
sat
sake,
there.
another 8 minutes of this.
Yeah, it was just like, well, we're not going to score, are we? So that's that. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it was mentioned about how quiet turf was. Well, are you surprised? Are you really that surprised? I mean, yeah. So there we go. There we go. I think Joey was lucky not to be there. Bless him.
Not to make it.
Yeah, yeah.
Joey, give us your thoughts of it. Like you say, we had some early chances. Jaden Anthony played like he had a point to prove against his
Yeah,
former
he
side.
seemed up for it, didn't he?
Yeah,
Did
I mean,
seem
what,
up
what
for
were
it.
your thoughts on it?
Maybe he could seem up for it a few more games. You know, Hannibal were up for it. There were some positives in parts of the play. There weren't really many positives to take from the game, but parts of the play there were some positives. It was again that final ball and that killer instinct that were letting us down, I think. But like Dan said, it's just monotonous and just crap to watch, isn't it? It is boring. I'll watch Saturday, but why? I don't know. Just because I'm a glutton for punishment, I think.
Well, I think that's what it's got to for a lot of us now, hasn't it? Where we're just watching in anticipation of what will be, will be. Max in the chat says, "Good evening, gents. Hope you're all well." I mean, yeah, I'm not too bad. Dan's knackered. Dan's back from the gym.
Been riding, Jim.
He's been riding gym. Um, Kate's in. Hello to yourself and say hello to Esme as well if she's not putting a comment in. Matt says it's like deja vu. Is this now? It's like we are saying the same thing week in, week out, and everyone is just well and truly done with the season and just want it done. Yeah, I mean the last couple of years, like I say, it's been a point where I felt almost like we've um, over time, over the course of games, we've had a sense of optimism. We've gone into games with that belief of maybe we could nick it 1-0 here and there. Maybe we've got that belief that if we carry on playing this sort of football against that style of football, but the football doesn't change. I mean, we spoke last week about his presser, and the word presser is there for a reason because it's depressing. The stuff he's coming out with, like I say, is just piss poor. Blaming the supporters again, saying that we have to overperform in every single game. Well, if they're not good enough, that they have to overperform, then why the fuck did you buy them in the first place? Why were they brought in if they weren't going to be valid and good enough for this season? I'm sorry, but they are. We want to actually just see them perform, and we have seen it in small doses.
Yeah,
We started the season pretty well,
yeah, we did.
and it just seems to have faltered out. And again, like Craig said last week, you get them good weeks and bad weeks, but then when the bad weeks come, they absolutely outweigh every positive that you thought, was in the pipeline. It's going to come good again, and it just ruins everything. There's people now all over social media, and I'm going to call it out because I've seen it online, and saying that, why don't we get behind the club and stuff? We have been behind the club. We've been behind them. Scott Parker wasn't my first choice, but I got behind him, and we had that season in the Championship, and it was still ropey. But yeah, we never slagged him, we never dug him out for this, that, and the other. It's just that this year we have seen those frailties all over the park. We can see how we are screaming for an out and out number 9. The reason we kept hold of J. Rodriguez for so long is because, an out and out number 9 is hard to come by. Well, I'm sorry, but we need something. I feel that fans are now getting at each other a little bit because they can't take the stress of what's going on a match day. It's getting to the point where, and I dare say, a lot of empty seats. There was a lot of empty seats, weren't there, Dan, on Saturday?
Yeah, there was. But I'm one of those that. I mean, what does it help not going? I'm a Burnley fan. I had this on one of the Facebook groups in the week. I believe that Vizé has said, he'd rather spend time with his kids or whatever than
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. And on the one hand, I do understand what he's saying, but I'm a Burnley fan. I'm 55 this year. I went when I was 2. 53 years. I was going to say I've seen worse. I probably haven't seen worse. Even in the days of the 4th Division boys, we had.
Oh, he's gone there, people. He's gone there.
Yeah. I'm going there. We had something. We've always had something, and I genuinely feel like this is the first time that we just have nothing about us at all. And I blame Parker 110% for that. I just think he's sucked the soul and life out of everybody on the pitch and off the pitch. He sucks the life out of you at the presser, like you say. I mean, you just don't want to listen, do you? You want to read the Burnley Express version of it, and that's it. You don't want to listen to him.
Well, this is what I want to just jump in and say.
Even that gets you down, though, reading it.
No, but what I'm saying is even on social media now, reporters are calling him out because they know that, why have I gone here to this? Why have I been told that? It's almost like someone's drawn the short straw to go to the Scott Parker press conference. You'd rather be going to Flaming Accrington to speak to, the manager there, and Bradford or whatever places around the area. Except nobody wants to because they're listening to the same drivel. They're now sharing articles saying this is the elongated version of what was said once the cameras are turned off. They're starting to call it out what we're seeing. And I'm not saying that there's pressure from the journalists, because journalists will coin a phrase and say what's what. But I just think that we need to be mindful. Everybody's situation is different, and if they don't go on for certain reasons, like I say, I haven't had a season ticket since I became a dad, but I still get to away games when I can, home games when I can, and that's just due to situations outside of that. If I could physically do that, then I would. Like I say, it doesn't just become a season ticket. The whole day becomes a good £50 to £100 flaming day out. So, it can be expensive, and I get people's ways and means of thinking, but I don't believe that that's the case for a lot of those fans that weren't in seats. Because I believe that they would be there if it was, say Man City in a few weeks.
Yeah, and
They'll all be in their seats for that.
and that's my point. I have no issues at all with people that genuinely can't afford to go, and I understand how hard it is. Absolutely, totally understand how hard it is for some people. It's a completely different thing altogether. You get on every game you can, Dan. It's as simple as that. When you can do it, you do it. Whether that's away, whether it's at home, that's what you do. Joey would be the same. If Joey could get across, if Joey wasn't working, Joey would come. Absolutely, 100%. That's not what I'm saying. But it's the people that have got a season ticket and to me are just, like, I'm not going because it's boring. I'd struggle with that. And that's where I think, fans show their true worth. And it's all right, Parker, saying we need to make a noise and we shouldn't boo and, we should cheer every time they come on the pitch because they're just so exciting to watch. It's not about that. Showing our support is attending when we can, isn't it? Look at it that way. So if you've got a season,
and I think if you are in attendance, you are also well within your right to voice your concern, voice your opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they've been stopping fans from doing that. They've been banning fans for 1 and 2 games and threatening bans for voicing their opinion. I mean, that's censorship.
People on social media, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm sure come the next meeting at the Turf, which isn't far. Well, it's next month now. That'll be interesting. There'll be quite a few points brought up, I believe.
I don't know how many views they get on these Keeping the Faith, but they want to live stream that one. They get a lot more views.
Well, it's like we said last week. They didn't even showcase the Everton game, did they? Because they were obviously. I get the importance of, speaking about the racial abuse, and I get that the importance is behind that message. Obviously, the drama that be also the game that ebbed and flowed between us and Brentford. It probably was one that you could have done a full 2 episodes on, really. So I do get it, but I also think when they've been trying to put 2 games in, I mean, maybe we don't just see that Everton one. Maybe we just park that one like it never happened. Because it was bad. Max says earlier,
at the end of the season, there'll just be a blank space there.
Yeah, we had 2 weeks off. Max says the only press Scott Parker has is a trouser press. Doug's in the chat as well. Hope you're well, Doug, if you're still in. Give us a wave or whatever. But hi to yourself. My little girl's in. Love you too, Princess. She says, love you, Daddy. Love you too. Lee says here, a question. Does anyone know the situation of the loan with obligation for Florentino? Are we going to have to pay the 25 mil agreed for Florentino once we are relegated back to the Championship? I believe, from what I know, is it's apparently done. He's apparently going to be a Burnley player, full stop. So
that's fine.
It is a strange one when you think about. Obviously, I know Dan mentioned it before, but it got mentioned in socials again recently about that Burnley now have to think about financial criteria when they drop into the Championship. From what I'm hearing, we'll be fine. But still, that 25 mil is a massive chunk.
Mm-hmm. That's not the only one. Don't forget Broja.
No.
So Broja's on. Broja, I believe, I'm led to believe. Tell me if I'm wrong, Dan. I'm led to believe that it's quite cheap. It's 5 million if he doesn't hit certain parameters. Now there can't be a parameter. I mean, he hasn't played too many games. He hasn't scored too many goals. So he hasn't hit any parameters whatsoever. So I'm guessing it might only be 5 million. I don't know. But that was up to 20 million if he'd hit certain parameters. I mean, it's a tough one because yeah. I mean, we all moaned like mad when we loaned Taylor Harwood-Bellis, when we loaned what's his face? Oh, you met him, Joey.
Maatsen.
Yeah, Maatsen. We all moaned like mad that we'd loaned some really cracking players and didn't have a buy-in. We've sort
Yeah.
of got the opposite way now, and every single body we loan, whether they're good or shit, we agree millions for. So before we start the season, like we did this season with some as well, remember, we spent 50 million and we haven't even bought any new players. It just.
You wonder if these players were never good enough, according to Scott Parker, why were they spending that kind of money?
Yeah.
Or putting that into contracts?
Especially when you're going to have
like
that turnover of being a yo-yo team. You're going to have that turnover of constantly going up, going down.
Well, we're going to be the ultimate yo-yo team this season, aren't we?
Well, yeah.
Another record.
Players going up, teams going up, teams going down, players leaving in abundance. Look at, if anything, they need to learn what happened the last time we went down. How many people were chapping that door of the manager's room to say, I want to go, I want out. Well, if he's leaving, I'm leaving, I want out. And I just think it's like you're going to have a revolving exit door, and you're allowing that by allowing it to happen. But if that's the case, and they aren't good enough, and they need to overperform, I don't know. I don't know what we see. He's saying that we have this revolving door, and I don't know whether it helps. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you guys think it helps?
I don't think you need stability, don't you? Not just your team, your squad, and everything at the club. Revolving doors definitely don't help. I don't think anyway.
I mean, I'm struggling with the whole concept that the lads are all happy and it's the best dressing room and they're all behind Parker. And if that's true, then in the summer nobody's knocking on the manager's door.
No one's going to. Well, they're all going to want to stay, aren't they? Surely.
Yeah.
You know,
if they're under
contract,
with that.
They're under contract. They're going to stay. So it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it? I don't know. There are key players that we have to keep, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't give a shit whether they bash the manager's door down. They're under contract, and I think it's about time that football clubs and owners and everything else turned around lawyers and said, you know what? You ain't going anywhere, mate. You're signed, you're sealed, and you're staying. You know, somebody's got to put the foot down.
You can't force a player to perform. That's the thing. That's what the players have the power there. You cannot force a player to perform.
You're right. You can't, but you can do a Mike Trezor. You can do a Mike Trezor. And what's his career doing now? Because when his contract comes to an end, he's done diddle for years. And I really do honestly believe that maybe we've pressed that, we've pushed it. Don't know. You know, why else is he still here?
It's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. I agree with what you're saying. Just having a look at some comments. Esme, if you didn't hear me the first time, I love you so much too. Good night in case you do fall asleep already. And I'll see you tomorrow. Max says, I saw something the other day saying that Espanyol fans are turning on ALK already. Yeah, I see it a lot on social media. I'm having to always click that translate. Yeah, and it's, to be fair, they aren't happy. They've gone on a downward spiral actually since the takeover. It's not been great, and if he's not getting it right at both clubs, then surely he's got to start looking in the mirror and asking questions. Kate says, going back to what we mentioned, always said it doesn't make you any less of a fan just because you don't have a season ticket. Correct. Doug still is in the building. Happy days. Question there from Mac. Do you think Brozier will be any good in the Championship? It's a very, very physical league. Brozier has got the skills and the fancy footwork. For me, I think Brozier's one of those that could easily be out first 2 games at season for rest at season because he gets a nasty crock.
I don't know.
Foster were good. Sorry. Go ahead then.
It seems recently to have not been. I mean, I know he's had very few minutes, to be fair, but he came on Saturday and I noticed a couple of times he went down and he got straight back up. And he wasn't doing that at first. I don't know. I'm out with Brozier. I think, I think he's not going to do diddle with Parker. Don't think anybody will do diddle with Parker, Championship or not now. But I would say that he could be a bet worth keeping myself. As long as we get rid of Foster, but that moves on to what Joey was saying.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
go on,
Foster
Joey.
did all right in Championship last time, didn't
He's done
Yeah.
10
You know,
goals.
I think,
He's had 10 goals in the whole time he's been with us. He's been with us 4 years or something. I saw the other day he scored 10 goals in what, 3 years, 4 years? 2 of those, well, 1.5 he's been in
yeah,
Championship.
he had a while
You've got
out
to
in
think
with
though as well.
mental health
Yeah, he had a
issues.
while out, like Joey said.
Don't know.
He was playing under those conditions apparently as well, which is going to affect his game.
Yeah.
But I get your point as well, but you know, I think he definitely stood out in the Championship. Did Foster as one of the higher end players? Obviously, I think Roger would as well. You know, there's been times this season when he's come on and he's been a hassle. He's been like Ashley Barnes, you know, but a bit more quicker. You know, we need that in Championship.
We do. By the way,
Well, I say they are all on the
it's not
contract.
your earphones. It's not your earphones with your hearing that's going. Joey's phone's got backy stuck in microphone or something like that. I don't know what
I don't know
it is.
what it is. I honestly don't know what it is, mate.
But
I don't even know what my phone is.
if we can persist, you can persist. That's all I'm saying. Chris, how you doing, mate? Good to see you in as well. This is Adam, long-time lurker, first-time messenger. Parker needs to go. So do ALK. It will be an exodus. Need to keep Humphreys, Esteve, Fleming, Hannibal as a core. I would love that to be the case. I can see Esteve being one of the first, basically, to be sold.
Yeah.
Because I think he's...
Anybody with any decent transfer value is going to be going.
I think if you look at that, I can see Humphreys staying, Fleming as well, probably, unless depending on the sides that come up. But Hannibal and Esteve are two that I think potentially, with the way Hannibal's been playing the back end of this season, is sort of putting his name in that window for clubs down that bottom half of the table to have a look at. Who knows, if Spurs come down, he might get a move there, mate. Lee says, I hope we can keep Hannibal. I'm doubtful, but Brozier, Foster and Anthony can all go for me. I mean, that's interesting. There's a lot of hate for Jadon Anthony, and I just think, for me, he has his good games and he has his bad games. A bit like, you know, Graham Branch used to. But I don't know. Give your thoughts on Jadon Anthony.
I said last season, if you remember, that Jadon Anthony was pretty poor for quite a huge part of the beginning, but he was played on the wrong side. That's Parker's fault. That's not Jadon Anthony. Now, when we then got Marcus Edwards, if you remember, Marcus Edwards didn't necessarily light the Championship up, but all of a sudden he swapped Anthony's side and Anthony started to light the Championship. Well, Anthony was brilliant the last couple of months in the Championship. And then we've come into the Premiership and he even admitted, didn't he, the dickhead, that he'd caused Anthony's drop in form by telling him to do something that he couldn't do. He couldn't. So I don't know. Again, jury's out for Anthony. I'd keep him for the Championship, and I think he's shown enough in the Prem that under a good manager in his right position, I do think he could probably get there. But I don't know. Going back on the comments, because I can't scroll back, there was one just really quickly. Contracts. We were saying about contracts. Chelsea is a case in point. Chelsea put, 4, 5 or 6 first team. Two or three of them were big names. Was Raheem Sterling still there? Somebody like that. And they put them training on their own, separately from the rest of the squad. They weren't even with the kids. They were in like a creche of their own. And they were kept that way, and they were refused to be sold unless they were literally paid through the nose for. They would not loan them out. They wouldn't do anything. Now, to me, the club does have the power. And they don't need to disrupt the dressing room. They can down tools all the like. Sod off then and train down at, I don't know, Todmorden Rec or somewhere. I mean, just, do you know what I mean? That's my old brain on it, you know?
No, I agree. I agree. John says here, change the manager now. The new guy gets a grip on who's going and staying, and by the summer we'll know
Yeah.
exactly what's needed. The thing is, I believe it would help if those upstairs stopped making those decisions and actually let the manager do what a manager's meant to do. Instead of them going, oh, well, here we have a plethora of, X, Y, and Z targets that we think have a very good selling point for this club in the next 2 to 3 years. Any of them that you want, almost like you've given your kids something. You've got a choice. You either stay at man or you stay at your dad's. You stay at your mum's or you stay at your dad's. What are you doing this weekend? And they're like, well, I don't want to upset one way out the other. It's a shit situation. I think the manager of a football club. I don't like this head coach thing. I've never been a fan of it. I don't know whether that's just a stickler for how football used to be, and it should be run like that, where the manager has a say in essentially how he wants.
Should have the say, to be fair.
Yeah,
Should have the final say.
yeah. I mean, I hope that we are giving Parker that final say. From what I've heard, he has had quite a good say in the transfers in terms of like in the summer when we got promoted. Trafford left. Yes, we were linked with Ortega at City. Ortega didn't want to come. The club said, well, maybe we might pursue it and see if he wants to come. We could offer him financial, this, that, and the other. But Park said, no, I want Martin Dubravka. And to be fair, the club gave us Martin Dubravka. So maybe there is a bit of leeway, a bit of push, if the manager really wants to. I don't know. It is very, very tough. Chris says
If
there,
you
going back to
if
Anthony,
you're
he's
a
not been
person,
great this season. Look like Bambi on ice. Yeah, he does though in games. He does. He's like his first touch is brilliant, and then he does a bit like a Raheem Sterling. He'll take one player on, take two players on, lose it, and you're just like, oh, for God's sake! Like you had everything. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I do
but
agree
then
that it again is hit and miss.
but then John Falconer agrees with me. Four good chances on Saturday, and it did.
Yeah.
Four good chances and a 0-0 board draw. Him and Hannibal were the only two that came out of that game with any credit whatsoever.
See, I think Bashir Humphries deserves a bit of credit as well. I thought Bashir Humphries were pretty decent.
Yeah, no, yeah.
When you turn it into the chances that they had, he always seemed to be there to mop up the pieces. When Estev just weren't fast enough to get on that on the attackers,
Yeah,
and he's
I
just
meant,
there, defence on the line. But yeah, from
I
an
guess I meant,
attacking
I guess
intent
I
on
meant
our
from an
side,
attacking point. Yeah,
yeah,
from an attacking point of view, there was only two of them that bothered, wasn't there? Let's be honest.
yeah. Yeah. Max says Chelsea are rumoured to be changing the way they do business in terms of signing contracts. Well, we'll get on to Chelsea because there's a few points I want to actually talk about. And I don't know whether to do it for another show, to be honest. Talking about the way shit's going in football, that would be an interesting one. Talking about everything that's going on because the piss farting around with football way too much now. And again, probably another reason why there's not a lot of bums on seats because the TV people and those at FIFA who want to introduce all these bullshit laws seem to think that it's going to, make the fan appreciate the game more. No, people are quickly falling out of love with this game. And you can see that by attendances dwindling. No matter how much you build a brand new big ass shiny toilet bowl, you ain't going to fill it with water or anything because people are not going to be there. People aren't going to be interested in it. Chris says our wingers can't beat a man. Strikers don't shoot. Job's done, fellas. It is. It is essentially.
I
You're
agree.
spot on. Spot on. F is in as well. Says all right, lads. All right to yourself. I hope you're well, mate. John says there the book should stop with the head coach / manager. It's common sense. You'd like to think it would. You'd like to think it would.
If Parker doesn't have say in the players
Yeah.
that he brings in, then he should come out and say that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he's come out and say it then. Just fall on your sword, mate. Come out and say, look, it's not my fault. I've not been able to buy any of the players I wanted. I don't want any, just come out and say it. Just because, as far as I'm concerned, it does. I'm not going to give him any get out clause by saying, he's the first team coach. We were told there were 70 odd possible like people we were looking at in January, 70 odd players. So why did he not, want one or two or three of them? He must have said no to the majority. He must have done. We're not that inept that we couldn't have got some of those 70 odd players through the door.
Would you come sound for Parker?
Well, that's as may be.
If you were one of those unfortunate few that Parker said, "Yeah, I want you," would you then say, "Well, yeah, go on"?
Well,
you've got to think there's a lot of things that come into play though with that, and I'm not just, like I said, it wasn't a case of blaming the fans. I can tell you that now, that wasn't the case. It was a case of blaming the situation of which we're in, which is being in the bottom three of the table, not being able to, offer that financial players wanting financial security if they come to the club because they know the wage will drop upon relegation, so they want financial gain, etc., or a buyout clause so they can leave on the cheap. Players aren't stupid, agents aren't stupid, and that's another reason. Let's not forget these players will go, "Nah, I'm not going there." Agents will be like, "Well, if you're not going to stump up, you've stumped up the right amount of money for the player, but if you're not going to stump up the right amount of money that I want," and it's like, "Well, we don't want to deal with you. We want to deal with the player." There's lots and lots of reasons, many reasons.
Definitely.
Heffy says, "Roll on next season." And like I say, Heffy, the fans did not scare them off. It was nothing to do with the fans. Nothing.
Yeah, but you say roll on next season. Is it going to be any better unless we get rid of Parker? Because I can't see it being any better. I really can't.
Like I said, and I think we said it last time as well, that essentially he was asked to get us up automatic. He did that. He's been tasked with the job of getting us to finish 17th and above. I can't see that happening. So maybe it's a sit down in a couple of weeks and see what the situation is.
Thank you for your services.
No doubt from January he's been sat in all those meetings planning ahead of next season, the what ifs. And I think clubs will always have like a 5, 6, 7, 10-year maybe contingency plan of where they expect the trajectory to go, where it could go, how it would be from a negative side to a positive side. Surely as a business you've got to have weighed all that out.
Yeah, you'd imagine so anyway.
So who knows? Who knows? I know a team that probably haven't done that because they thought they'd be fighting up amongst there at the top, but John says Spurs getting relegated would make automatic promotion a big ask. I'd say, I don't know though, because again,
look how Wolves are doing.
No, but look at the Championship though. This is another thing. The teams that are down at the bottom. This is why I don't agree with this 8th and above bollocks. Because at the end of the day, there's a team that it could be us. It could be us in 8th, and I'd still say, all right, yeah, we got promoted, but did we really deserve it? Do we really deserve it when
over 46 years?
When the difference in points between us and 6th is probably another 16, 17 points? I'd say no. Sorry, we don't. If you look at that format, what all it's doing, it's extra games, it's an extra format, it's a new format for those upstairs to play about with and put on TV. Oh, it creates drama. Because someone who's been semi-decent all season, that's technically sat in mid-table, top half of mid-table, gets a sniff at a chance of the Premier League. And all that does is filter into everything that has been said over the last couple of years, which is, well, the 3 teams that get promoted always seem to come down. What do you expect if 8th, who couldn't really compete for half of the season in the Championship, somehow gets to the Premier League because, I don't know, they've had a rocket up their arse in the dying weeks?
Oh, so if you managed to do it in the last few games.
It's bollocks. And it really winds me up.
I
Boys.
disagree, by the way. But
What?
okay.
With what? With what? Which bit?
I just think having, as stupid as it is, I'm not going to disagree. It seems a bit bonkers, but every single game, literally to the last game of the season, will have meaning to someone. So the teams that are fighting relegation and are coming up against 8th now, who have got no chance of getting 6th, you could argue might be a bit of a nothing game or whatever, or the teams that are looking for that top 6 space and they're 9th, and they've got no chance of getting there. So 6 has got an easy ride. We all know it happens. We all know as we get to the end of the season, there's a game and you go, oh, they're just going to chuck that. They're going on holiday. They've got nothing to play for. I just think it keeps it going longer. I think it keeps the fight in all the teams. And I'm sorry, but 20 points behind us, Sunderland, say no more.
But they were third, not 8th.
Eh?
But they were third, not 8th.
They were third, but they were 20 points behind us.
I don't
care. I don't care.
I think there is a big drop in the level of teams from like 3rd to 8th, even if I don't know who they are at the minute, but I think if you were to look now, you'd say, yeah, maybe they're going to struggle.
I'll tell you what.
Southampton. Southampton would be in there. Southampton, I think they're 7th or 8th at the minute. Not quite.
So the top
just
8.
beat Coventry.
Who's the top 8? Coventry, obviously.
To be fair, right, when I look at it, points-wise, it's quite bunched up. Cov, top of the league. Borough in 2nd. Ipswich 3rd. Millwall 4th. Hull 5th. Southampton 6th. Wrexham in 7th. And Derby in 8th.
Yeah.
But this is what I mean. This is what I mean about the Championship, that I don't expect us to be as good as people are expecting us to be, because there is these other teams, like say, that have had the heyday. West Brom, Leicester could be dropping into League One. QPR started the season positively. Sheffield United were expected to compete again this year. They've had to fight out of a relegation to try and have a great escape. Now they sat mid-table. Bristol City for the last couple of years have been in that playoff pack. They're middle of the pyramid. Norwich, Birmingham have now got all that money behind them. We've seen Watford in the Premier League. The Championship is a daunting task. It is a horrible league to get out of. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the Championship days. I freaking love them to my heart's content because of the physicality. It's Saturday, Tuesday. It gives you your football fix. What us as fans, as football supporters, live for. But yeah, like John says, there is some big old clubs in the Championship. I hope Rovers go down, though, to echo your comment. I mean, you want them to stay up, but I hope they go down. But yeah, there is a lot of big clubs in there. Evening to yourself, Rich, as well, in the chat. Evening, Dan and the team. Heavy says, in 09, we were 6th, Sheffield United were 3rd. Yeah, but again, what I'm trying to get at is that's how the pyramid was. What sort of gain are you going to get from adding those extra games? I just don't understand it. And J Rod's in. How you doing, mate? I'm holding up pretty well, even though I feel like I'm just letting out all this combusted heat. Just it's just oozing out.
I think we need to congratulate Rich on their result at the weekend against Man City.
That was a cracking result. Yeah, I'll give you that.
I was listening to that on the way home Saturday, and genuinely, bearing in mind I've never particularly liked West Ham, all due respect, Rich, I was genuinely screaming for them. I was absolutely made up for them. I'm chuffed to bits. They deserve that at the minute. The fans, that's the thing. The fans deserve to stay up, and I just think I just want to give Rich that 100%.
He says they're held on just about. I'll be honest. I went across to the shop, and
to watch a game, you can't get.
Guy at shop, Garvey at counters, he's an Arsenal fan. So he's like, "Oh, have you not seen the score?" I said, "No, no, no." So he were watching it, and he were watching it on his phone, and then next minute I'm stood at shop for about 5 or 10 minutes, catching added time at end of game, watching his phone with him, and then he's like, "Fucking yes, get in! Like that's it, we're gonna win league." And I just thought, and then I think there was this young Chelsea fan walked in or something, and he just went, "Hey, guess what's happened?" He went, "What? City have lost it again." He said, "But I won't ask you about Chelsea," he said, "because you're not even involved." So he was just having banter with everyone, but it was just the sheer fact I was stood at shop for about 5 to 10 minutes when all I nipped in for was to pick some flowers up for Mother's Day and come straight back out. And there's me
Time
stood
did
there.
they kick up?
You
are?
tight git. You waited until Saturday evening, went in a local corner shop to buy your own mum flowers. You tight git. You could have had them sent. You could have gone to a proper flower shop and bought proper flowers, Dan. Come on.
Could have had them delivered.
Yeah.
I could have. I'd spent all my money on a ticket to watch us in a 0-0 against Bournemouth, so you know, needs must. Rich says, "Dan, is it to shop or to the shop?" Just asking for Jake.
The shop.
It's
to shop.
It's to shop.
Jake kept mentioning it when we played West Ham at the Turf. He kept saying, like, "Why is it you miss words out? What is it about up here?"
We're just lazy.
Yeah, we are. We're very, very lazy. Speaking of which, we've not even spoke about Fulham yet.
We don't want to.
Do we have to? Do we have to look forward to it?
Dan, there was more than flowers. I'd already got that. Flowers were just a last minute thing. I thought I'd get extra.
He only got the flowers because he felt compelled to buy something from shop after going round to watch the last 15 minutes of football.
No comment. This week and then off to Craven Cottage. The last time we was having a dog shit season in the Premier League was under Vincent Kompany. We'd not won for a while, and we managed to turn on the style and get a result at Craven Cottage. In that period, I mean, Joey, how do you think we're going to fare in this one? Because again, we have a decent record there. It's looking like their manager's going to be leaving at the end of the season. So is he playing really with a point to prove? No, he's just trying to see the season out. What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, I don't see it. I can't get excited for it. I don't think we're going to get anything, to be honest with you. It's just going to be an absolute dire performance again, is all I can envisage. I can't see it going any other way. And it's frustrating because normally, Fulham away, you'd be saying, well, we've got a chance of getting a point or maybe nicking it there. And just the way that it's been this season, like Dan said, it just sucks the life out of you. Could be another 0-0 draw.
It does. I mean, we're saying there, Dan, I'm just looking at the last 3 games. Both of us have the same scenarios. You know, loss, draw. They lost to West Ham. They drew away at Forest. They got beat in the FA Cup by Southampton. Okay, fair enough. But, it's just typical. I love it how Rich says, Fulham are struggling. Then John says, we're struggling.
All good points.
Very good points. However, that said, they are still on 41 points, which is around that safety mark, isn't it? 11th in the table.
So what we're saying, going off the championship, is they're not going to go down. They're not going to make Europe, so they've nothing to play for. So it should be an easy game.
Yeah. But then yet again, they might get Europe if they decide to extend it to the top 11 teams, get European football, next year.
Do you know what, though? My argument stands because if we were fighting to avoid...
Come on, Keegan.
No, there is. There's a word there that we're not doing. We are not fighting to avoid relegation. You show
No.
me any fight in that team.
Yeah.
There isn't any. We're not fighting to avoid relegation. If we were, then you would say, yeah, they're 11th. Come on, boys, there's nothing to do here. They've struggled. We can have this. Let's go for it. But we won't.
You would, exactly.
We'll just go and be lackadaisical like normal. He'll change the
problem,
formation again, and he'll change the first 11 again, because that's what he does every single game. Simple as that.
That's the problem we've got, is that he's very much happy to just be involved in a game of Premier League football.
Yeah,
exactly. He's happy to be there.
No matter what the outcome. Yeah.
It's
just
like
like
a competition part.
Competition winner.
It is
It's just
like
like,
that.
yeah, I'm happy. I get to see this. When you've got a 16-year-old Max Dalman at Arsenal who bags and then literally is in school the next day, probably just going, yeah, whatever. I've got maths, English, science, whatever I've got to deal with today. And yet Scott Parker's like, oh, I've got another week as a Premier League manager. I can't quite believe it.
He talks us down all the time. He's constantly telling us, therefore the players, because we all know they listen, how hard the Premier League is. He's been going on for months about how hard the Premier League is. So what must the players think? They must go out.
He must have had us beat from day one and told them, listen, lads, we're not going to win, don't worry about it. Just try this and try that. I'll make sure you all get decent minutes. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's probably why they're backing him, because he's giving them what they want and they're not giving him what
we want.
We as fans expect. Yeah.
We've said that, haven't we? We've said that already.
Yeah.
The players, to a certain extent, would be behind him, because they fail every single game, and there's no recompense. They just never mind. You tried, lads. Fine margins.
He sticks up for them.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It was Paddy's Day the other day.
It was noisy out here.
Oh, I bet it were.
What's
I
that?
bet it were.
Parker leaves blood on the walls. I'd like to leave Parker's blood on the walls, or are we not allowed to say that live?
Better let now.
Oh, sorry. Did I say that out loud? Sorry, it's my ADHD. It was an accident.
Hold on. Just check the door down. It might be Devonshire Police. John says, good point. Where are our wonder kids? We used to churn a few out. I mean, to be fair, we have built an academy and I don't see anybody coming through really. Or, there might be a few names that get touted about. And like I say, Parker's put one or two of them on the bench, but we've not actually seen them in action or anything, unless you watch the under-18s or under-21s, etc. None of them have actually come on and done anything. We saw a few in pre-season, play some football. I know a few have gone out on loan, but since January, come back. I think there were two lads that went to Aki. Both of them have come back. I think Tommy McDermott is still at Shrewsbury. I'm not 100%, but I'm sure he's still there. And it seems every time we bring them back...
We've got someone at Dundee, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I know we've got some...
end up seeing a few next season ourselves.
I know we've got some players that are actually there that used to play for us, but don't play for us now. So we've got Lewis Forshaw is out on loan at Worksop Town. Joe Ashton is at Marine FC. Another keeper out
I'm not expecting
on loan.
any of them to be coming into the first team anytime soon.
And yeah, like I say, Tommy McDermott's at Shrewsbury Town on a season-long loan deal. He's still very much there. But it might be the under-18s players that have gone out on loan. So that there's another laddie. Oh no, someone who joined Clitheroe on a month loan.
Reading that.
God knows it's all happening. I think we do need to start. But that's what Parker said apparently, Dan, according to FA. But that apparently Parker leaves blood on the walls when he's. I don't know
It's
where
because he's
from.
got a nosebleed because he's so high up in the pyramid. And Premier League gives him a nosebleed. It's just one of those things.
That's a bit almost thing, I'm sure of it.
No, John says
Something
that
might be
Parker wouldn't
in
dare
it.
play them anyway. His position's too shaky.
His position's cushy. He's got a chairman who loves him.
True that.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're saying then? What we're saying? We are a better side away from home. I'll give us that. Okay. Remember, Everton never happened. So, Joey, give us your score prediction for Saturday. How do you think it's going to go?
0-0.
I can fucking see it already. Dan?
Oh, no, there is going to be a plus point, though. I think we are going to manage 3 shots on target in the game. So something to look forward to.
3 shots on target.
Yeah, I'll be.
If that happens, I'll have 3 shots at the bar.
Do deflections count as on target? So I mean, if we hit it hard enough and it hits one of their defenders and it
Fingers
goes
out
on
for a
target,
corner. Oh, we're on target, yeah, even though we went for a corner. We might have to start blaming them.
Fulham are going to win. Fulham are going to win. I don't see a 0-0. Not Fulham. But I don't see a scoring either. But then, I don't know, you see. I think half the problem against Bournemouth was they didn't score. Because we're not used to keeping clean sheets.
It's the same all season.
It's true, though, isn't it? I mean, I literally sat there at half-time and said, oh, my God, it's half-time and it's 0-0. Now what do we do? Then I've got in at half-time and Parker has said, oh, well done. Keep it going. Don't get too excited. Come on. You need a goal
that's
against
that's what I didn't agree with. Because, yes, it was a much better performance than Everton away, but neither team performed. I thought for a team that was sat 9th in the table, they were very defensive. They had a lot of men behind the ball. They didn't bother chasing for it. It was almost like they came here expecting us to come out all guns blazing and they have to put up a strong defensive fight.
I think that's exactly what they expected. And it never came from us.
Nothing. No, none at all. Dan, if you did have to put a prediction on it,
I'd go 2-1 Fulham.
2-1?
2-1 Fulham.
You know, I'm going to meet in the middle of the two of you. I'm going to say a 1-0 loss, 1-0 to Fulham. Again, quite a hard-fought, battled game, but again, one of those where we just end up not being on the right end of a result.
Fizzling out.
I'm debating doing a watch along. I don't know whether to or not.
You are brave. I'm working, so it's first day back, 2 week off. Yeah, I'm working. Can't wait.
Even if you weren't working, you'd have said you're working just so you get out of watching it. That's like I say, that's just how things have got. John said he saw a young lad at Aki. He was great. And he said that's the lad, Joe Barres. Yeah, I saw him play a few times for Aki. I thought he were a decent little player. Logan Parr was the other one that went to Atkinson Stanley, and he didn't really get the game time. So,
Joe Barres played last season against Southampton in the Cup. Came on for quite a bit, and he was absolute top draw. He didn't look out of place at all. And then we've not seen him again. We've said for years at some point you have to blood these youngsters. You have to give them a go. You can't just send them out constantly. You've got to give one of them a go.
No, you do. You've got to shake up the pack a little bit. Do you think Arsenal really wanted to bring on a 16-year-old who somehow manages to win them the game? You know what I mean? He probably didn't, but he just thought at that time, why not? He might offer us something a little bit different. These young players play with a point to prove. They play with a point to prove. Like, I want to be a first team footballer. I want to be in and around that first team. So why not put someone in that's going to play like they've been given one chance at this, and they're going to go for it? Heffy says he's going for 2-0 Fulham. Like I say, none of us. I mean, Joey's the closest so far. Expecting
I've got the most
some,
optimism with 0-0.
yeah, the man with Parker out written behind him has got the most optimism out of the fucking lot of us. You can't write it. You can't write it.
Well, you can't.
It's just, well, yeah, literally. You can print it, you can write it, you can do what you like. I mean, you got to think this is the last one in March. I think we've got an international break between games now, haven't we? After this, so
we don't lose.
It won't
Good
surprise
weekends are
me.
coming.
Yeah, we can't lose. Oh my god.
Good weekends are coming.
God.
Good weekends are coming.
But look at those games coming up in April, and I'm sure we'll speak about them in previews. But like you say, Brighton at home, Forest away. Okay, then we've got City at home. But those next two, Brighton and Forest, is that 3 apiece or 0-0?
No, that's nil point. Nil point. If we get anything against Fulham, we'll not get another point for the rest of the season. I don't think.
That's a bold shout.
No, I really don't
man.
think. I think
Random one as well.
I think Wolves will beat us on the last day of the season and put us down bottom.
Well,
You know,
I'm not 100% on this, but I'm going to ask you, Stat, or you might know. If that happens and we finish bottom, I believe that'll be the first time we finish bottom of the league for over 100 years.
Don't know.
Don't know. I saw someone earlier. I did mean to check it. I never got around to it.
Yeah, because I don't think we actually have. Since 2009 and us being in the Premier League, I don't think we've ever finished rock bottom, have we?
Of any division, apparently. Not just top flight.
Oh, wow. If that is true, another unwanted record by your Lord and Saviour, Scotty Parker.
I'll try and find the link and send it on to you later.
1984-85, 4th division. There was no relegation from the league back then. No automatic relegation. So we got away with it. We finished 24th according to this.
We did finish bottom of the league that season then.
But we didn't get relegated.
Maybe it is just top flight. I'll have a look and find out anyway and send it to you.
Premier League, 19th, 18th. 19th and 18th. So never bottom of the Premier League or Division 1, no.
Interesting.
So according to this, it's only ever happened once. I'll have to check that out for definite. But 84-85, 4th division. But there was no automatic relegation that year, so we got away with it. I don't know whether that's 100%. That's a quick
flip.
Still an interesting start, though. To be fair,
one way or the other.
It is very intriguing. John's coming. He's got 1-0 Fleming. You heard it here.
I take it. Don't get me wrong. I definitely take it.
100%.
It does mean 1-0 to Burnley, doesn't it? It's not going to be an own goal.
Yeah, not a Fleming on goal. Fleming on zonal marking.
Come back for a corner.
I'd like to hope not. We'll wrap it up there then, boys. Again, it's not looking like it's going to be another positive week for the Clarets when you expect us to hopefully put in a good performance. Like I say, every time I've seen us recently, like I say, I thought we'd have used the fight from that Brentford game to put in a performance against Everton. We didn't. That
You know,
0-0, you'd think it'd try and kick us on to get something out of the next game, thinking that, look, the chances were there. All we need to do is make sure that we get in those right areas, finish the moves off, etc. And we probably won't.
Just very quickly, boys.
Go on.
Sorry to interrupt your final, but that was absolute crap. We weren't even in the 4th division in 84-85. That's why you don't trust AI, boys. That's why you never trust ChatGPT.
I thought you were looking on some sites.
No. I'm looking at the tables, and we finished 4th from bottom of the 3rd division and went down to the 4th division that year to 84-85. So it's absolute bollocks that we ended up bottom. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. And 4 went down and 4 came up that year from non.
Well, is that the year that they had 16 in playoffs?
Yeah, I think
Make it more interesting.
probably. No, back then it was 4 up, 4 down, wasn't it? So we went down 4th from bottom and 4 came up.
That playoffs.
Arlington and Bury. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Sorry. Oh, look, Wrexham Town, 15th in Division 4 that year. Look where they are now.
It's mad when you look back at some years and you see some of the teams we played. I mean, like when I first started watching Burnley, it was, we're playing teams like Boston United and stuff. Scarborough, yeah, we're playing these sort of sides, and I'm thinking, what the hell? And now you look at the demise of them. And I think, if anything, it does make you realise that we've actually quite done well for ourselves.
Yeah.
For such a small town to punch above its weight like it is. Sorry, I feel like I'm going to start talking about us overperforming in a minute. God.
Oh, dear. Anyway, sorry. There you go.
That's all right. Going off what you're saying, Dan.
Boys.
John says Parker's an AR bot. Listen to his presses. That is true. That is true. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for just being here, getting yourselves involved in the chat. Really do appreciate it. If you can, please do drop a like on the video, subscribe, share us about, let people know what we're doing. We're trying to grow, and we've hit a bit of a snag. It seems like we keep losing some, gaining some, losing some, gaining some, and we keep just hitting around that mark. But please, with your support, we do this for you guys. We come on here and just chat shit to be able to give you guys some chat to talk about. Yeah, it's free therapy, essentially, is the way I'm trying to look at it. That said, as I say, thank you very much. We'll be back. You'll probably see our match preview reviews at the end of the game as well on our YouTube shorts. And potentially there may be room for a show in between where we chat, not even about Burnley, but just about things in general. VAR, like we've already said tonight, the introduction of the Championship dropping to 8 teams, Chelsea's current charges, and the 10 million that they've had to pay, which is a pittance to the teams like Everton and Forest that have had points deductions for even worse, for even less. And let's not get started on Manchester City's 115 that still has not been sorted. No here or there. So yeah, we might have a bit of a show talking about football and all the good, the bad and the ugly about it. But until then, thanks again. Take care, good night, and as ever, up the Clarets.